Hello everyone, welcome back to Teacher on Duty Online Media, and today I'm so glad to welcome you, dear students of Form 1 and Form 2 in Tanzanian secondary schools, without forgetting my fellow English teachers of the same classes. And today I wish to lead you to the discussion of the question that demands to read the poem carefully and answer the questions that fall after it. I am sure that this lesson is going to guide you as far as in English language is concerned. Let us right jump in. The poem reads, "Life on the street is the rotten meat, becoming worse and worse every day. You think it is okay because you are far away when you don't know the way of our life. You give some money, but like bees and honey, we are addicted to glue, the drug that keeps us here. I wonder if I will be alive when I reach the age of 10. But having lived here all my life, I suppose I will have to try." Dear listeners, let us look on the discussion of some guiding questions. First and foremost, the question asks, what is the poem about? The poem is all about the hard life that street children are passing through. They are starving and living by begging money from the good Samaritans. They have associated themselves with the drug users and become addicted in it. Life is difficult to them and they are pessimistic. They are losing hope about their future. That is to say, this poem reflects the life experienced by street children that seems to be hard to them, and eventually the concerned children find themselves resorting into drug addiction. The second question asks, what type of poem is this? And this question demands to give a reason. Well, this is a lyric type of poem. Why lyric? This poem expresses the deep and strong feelings of the persona towards the street life. For example, in stanza 3, the persona says, "You give some money, but like bees and honey, we are addicted to glue, the drug that keeps us here." This is a vindication that the persona is expressing his or her strong feelings and emotions towards the subject matter. Another question, who is speaking in this poem? Or who is the persona in this poem? Well, the one who is speaking in this poem is a child who is experiencing a hard life in the street. And this can be proved in stanza 1 when the persona says, "Life on the street is the rotten meat, becoming worse and worse every day. So this actually proves that the persona is a child who is experiencing some life difficulties in the street. Another question: what is the tone of the poem? The tone of this poem is sympathetic towards the life of street children. The persona seems to associate himself with what is happening to a street child. That is to say, the persona is expressing sympathy to the children or a child who experiences some difficulties in a street. Another question: explain two possible themes found in this poem. Dear listeners, this poem can reveal different themes, but more importantly, here goes some two possible and most dominating themes. Number one, poverty or life hardship. What is poverty? Poverty is the state of not being able to afford some of the required needs. And this theme seems to be the dominant one in this poem. The persona has revealed the way the street children strive to make their day pass. To prove this, the persona states, you think it is okay, but because you are far away, when you don't know the way of our life. What that way of their life? It is poor living condition. Another most important theme is pessimism. What is pessimism? Pessimism refers to the general belief that bad things will happen. Alternatively, the term pessimism implies losing hope of the future. The persona in this poem seems to be pessimistic because he has lost hope about his future. What is lying in front of him or her is disappointment and total darkness. He is not sure if he will reach 10 years while still alive, as he says, I wonder if I will be alive when I reach the age of 10, but having lived here all my life, I suppose I will have to try. That's to say, he is trying in his life. Another question: is the poem relevant to our society? Why? Yes, the poem seems to be quite relevant to our contemporary society. How? This is because all the issues discussed within this poem are live in our societies. We have street children in our societies who, by their parents' negligence of nurturing responsibilities, are forced to find another life in the street and suffer the same way as the persona in the poem suffers. Another question: what have you learned from this poem? What is the lesson to be obtained from this poem? Well, from this poem, we learn that street children are passing through many life difficulties, so the quick measures should be taken by the community members and the government so as to save the lives of these young people. Another possible lesson is that parents should carry their burden of nurturing their children and not leaving the task to some other people, which eventually results into children loitering in the street, doing nothing, hoping the worst. Parents should play their role as caretakers of their children so as to spare them from life difficulties in the street. Another question: how many stanzas and verses are in the poem? This poem consists of 4 stanzas and a total of 16 verses. Another possible question from this very poem states, why is life on the street compared to rotten meat? Well, dear listeners, the life in the street is compared to the rotten meat because a rotten meat is that, I think it is something obvious that the rotten meat is that one which is bad, stinking, and not attracting anyone to it, compared to the street life that is bad and not envied by any person. It is the hard life that can drive a person to live such a life, but it does not mean he or she admires. That is to say, life is the rotten meat. It is full of disappointment and darkness. Another possible question demands to explain 2 figures of speech used in the poem. Well, what are the figurative language devices that have been employed in this poem? Number 1, metaphor. Metaphor can be obtained in this poem. What is metaphor as far as literature is concerned? Metaphor or metaphoric devices refers to the direct comparison between 2 unlike things without using comparative words such as like and as. This has been used in this poem when the persona says, life on the street is the rotten meat. That is to say, life and the rotten meat have been compared directly without using a conjunction. Another figure of speech to be obtained from this poem is simile. Simile refers to the indirect comparison between 2 dissimilar things by the use of conjunctions like and as. Conjunctions such as like and as. This has been used in this poem when the persona says, you give some man, but like bees and honey, we are addicted to glue. Here the street children have compared themselves to bees and honey. Another possible figure of speech is imagery. What is imagery? It is a figure of speech that involves the creation of the mental picture in the mind of readers. The poem is full of images. To prove this, in stanza 1, the persona says, life on the street is the rotten meat. From these 2 consecutive verses in stanza 1, the reader can create the mental picture of the rotten meat.